Transitions, what are they? Why are they important? And how can you use them in your production? Keep watching to find out more. When it comes to transitions, what they do for a song is they piece the different parts of the song together. Transitions are oftentimes called one-time events, meaning they only happen once or a couple different times during the song. The reason that transitions are powerful is because they signify change within your song. For example, if you hear a specific sample or a specific part in a song, the listener will already know which part of the song is going to be coming next. A couple different ways that you can make transitions within your music would be by using audio effects. You can use drum fills or even envelope automations, which we will be talking about in detail further on in the course. To give you a basic understanding of what an envelope automation is, if you can imagine a specific instrument and you want it to be very, very quiet at first, but as the song progresses, you want the volume to increase, you can do a volume automation. And what that would be is you drawing two different lines. Maybe at the beginning of the song, the line will be lower, and right before the climax or the most suspenseful part of the song, the line will be very tall, and your song will in turn be very loud. You can use this in a couple of different manners, and with Ableton, you can pretty much automate whatever parameter you would like. As with most things in music production, transitions are also genre dependent. For example, you may have a different transition inside of a rock song as opposed to a rap song, as opposed to an EDM song. But the best part about this is that if you study different genres of music, you can incorporate different transitions and different elements from different genres of music into your production. Now, in my opinion, I think it is best when producers have an idea and they draw elements from all of their different interests and they put that together. And I think that is how you can make the best of your music and how you can incorporate your own individual sound. If you think about the role that music plays in society, everything that you do, everything that you make, and everything that you heard before usually comes from an outside source. For example, your production style was heavily influenced by the type of music that you listen to. So if you're listening to a specific style of music, you may want to write that specific style of music. You can follow the same song structure and arrangement, and what makes that unique is putting your own twist on it. For example, if you make a pop song, maybe you can have an EDM element playing in the background, or even like a heavy guitar part playing as it was in a rock song. And if you do that, you will have a very fresh and unique song. Now, the beauty behind this and the beauty of doing cross-genre production is that there is no rules to making music. Typically, if the music sounds good to you or your audience, you are doing something right. You don't really want to overcomplicate things, and just because you're doing something simply does not make it wrong. So always keep that in mind when you're making music. For my next example, I would like to talk about a song that I was making for one of the vocalists that I work with. My friend, Carl, also known as Young Crow, is a rapper, and I made this beat. When he heard it, he fell in love with it immediately, and he made some pretty dope bars to this. So right now, the lyrics are not completely finished being recorded, so I can't show you that, but what I will show you is the instrumental and how it's laid out. Before we go in and start talking about the different transitions that we have inside of the song, I want to talk about the different sections and the typical song structure for hip-hop beats. So over here, all the way to the left, you already guessed it, we have an introduction for the song. The introduction is followed by the hook, which is followed by the verse. We also have a pre-chorus, and then after the pre-chorus, we have the hook, which is followed by the verse again. We then have another pre-chorus, which is then again followed by the hook, and we have an outro. So pretty much we have chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and then the outro. Let's go ahead and listen to this song, and after that, we will talk about the transitions. Anyway, you get the gist of it. So, let me paint a picture for you. This song right here has the same exact piano loop going for the whole entire time. Do I feel bad about this? Nah, man, it's hip hop. The purpose of hip hop and rap music is clearly to have a good beat, but it is mainly vocally driven. So, the loop stays the same throughout the whole entire song. The parts that do change are the drum parts and the effects. So if you listen to the beginning, we have the piano part with a little bit of a down filter and also some vinyl crackle in the background, which I love using. One of the transitions elements that I used is this riser right here. This riser I made on Serum, and I call it the Superstar riser. So if you take a listen to it on its own, it kind of like pitches up and creates a lot of suspense, letting you know that the next part or the beat is about to drop. And alongside with the riser, I also have these breaths happening, which happen every time before the drop. Just sounds kind of cool, like a, you know what I'm saying? And along with that, I also have a snap going. So let's go ahead and recap the different transition elements for the introduction into the hook. We have one, an audio effect called the riser. We have a couple breaths happening at the same time. We also have the snap that comes in and this drum fill over here. So 4 different elements within this transition. Another good method for making a transition would be doing something as simple as stopping a particular part. So for example, you can see right here that the hi-hat part plays out completely, but within this one section right here, it stops. And it kind of is a little bit of a pause to the beat before the beat repeats. So to keep it less repetitive, it's good to take things away sometimes. And right here, it's just a snap and nothing else. And the hook and the verse are pretty much the same. When it comes to the pre-chorus, I did change the drum parts. I wanted to put some big toms in there and also some 808 toms. So that's what this sounds like. Notice there's no drum beat playing as before. We had this drum beat right here. Right here. Really nothing there. It gives the listener a break from that heavy drum beat. And once the drum beat comes back in, because it wasn't in this particular part of the song, it makes it sound that much more impactful. But what I want you to pay attention to right here is we have the same transition elements. We have the riser happening as well as the breaths. We have the snap happening and also the drum fill. With the exception of this right here, this 808, it's kind of up top and it just kind of lets you know that the beat's about to drop. So another cool thing I did, it is not necessarily a transition, but it is more of a song structure. Right over here, I have these chimes, which just sound very nice. I like them. Every time the hook happens, we have that going in the background. If you can imagine like a wind chime, like that's what I have going on here. And it just sounds cool over the hook. Like you hear the drum fill and the beat drops, you got a chime going, everyone's vibing. So let's just go ahead and recap that. The transition that I used 4 separate times in this song would be the combination of the riser, the breath, the snare fill, and also the little bass fill over here, which is like boom, boom, boom. It just sounds tight, you know. The other transition effect that I did was taking away certain parts. For example, right here, you can notice that the sub is completely gone, and same with the hi-hat, just to provide a little bit more variety. And to signify the transition between the verse to the pre-chorus, or from the pre-chorus to the hook, was the subtraction of the drum part. You gotta make the listener miss the drum part, because when the drum part and also the sub is taken away, that is pretty much the lifeline of hip-hop music. But when you hear it come back in within the hook, you're like, oh yeah, here we go, I'm about to vibe out to this. So there you have it, a slight overview of the different transitions that you can do within your music.